Hey guys, it's Lefforge. I'm so glad that you're here. Today is all about Disney Vacation Club, and it's gonna be a little more conversational and maybe a little less informational than other videos I've done on Disney Vacation Club. If you are new around here and you're just starting to learn about what DVC is, I'm gonna send you to my playlist about all things Disney Vacation Club, what it is, how to buy into it, the different ways to buy into it, what the different terms mean, and I'm gonna put that right here. So this video is sort of an intermediate video. Certainly for those of you that already own DVC and for those of you that are thinking about it and are curious about what it looks like when you realize that you want to sell your Disney Vacation Club contract. So I'm gonna tell you the 3 reasons why we decided to sell. And this video is actually gonna be part 1 of 2 because, gosh, it's 2 o'clock now. At 3 o'clock, I have a Skype phone call scheduled with Chantel from DVC by Resale, and she's gonna kind of give us a little bit more detailed background about selling your DVC contract, what it looks like, the timeline, all of those things. But I knew that I would end up being too long-winded if I tried to cover why we decided to sell and the process of selling all in one video. And I figured some of you might be interested in why would we decide to sell. So the first thing I want to tell you is we do own 2 Disney Vacation Club contracts. So don't worry, we're still DVC members. Our first contract is the one that we purchased in 2012. It's big, it's a 160 point contract. Well, it's big for us. I know some people have contracts that are 500 points, but for us, that's a lot of points. And our home resort for that contract is Vero Beach. I love that contract for a lot of reasons. The first reason is we really do love Vero Beach. Our first visit there, I think was in 2009, and we paid cash and we fell in love with the area, the beach, all of it. So that was really what motivated us to buy into DVC in the first place. So we really do love Vero. The other reason I love it is because it was purchased in 2012 before the most recent restrictions went into effect. We get almost all of the perks as if we had purchased it direct from Disney. So I'm gonna hold on to that baby as long as the Lord allows me to have it. Then about 3 years ago, I was going down to Disney a lot more frequently for Run Disney events and things like that, and we realized we really didn't have enough points. We were living in Texas. We thought, you know what, we probably will be going down to Vero more often, and we of course could use those points at Walt Disney World. So let's go ahead and buy our additional contract there. The one mistake I did make was not making them the same use year. It's very hard to combine points between 2 contracts, so that was one thing we found out very quickly. The other thing was our circumstances changed and we actually moved from Texas to Georgia. So now when we go to the beach, although we love Vero and still plan on visiting there, we are just as likely to go to Kiowa or Tybee or something that's a little bit closer than it is to get all the way to Vero, Vero's about an 8-hour drive, but I have lots of gorgeous beaches that are like a 5-hour drive that if I just want the ocean, I could easily go there as well. So I was really finding myself wanting to use that smaller 60-point contract exclusively at Walt Disney World. And those of you that have owned for a while and seen some of the changes know where I'm going with this. When I would go to use those points at the 7-month mark, right? Because I can't book at Walt Disney World itself until the 7-month mark with that particular contract. Okay, because the home resort is Vero Beach. So I can book at Vero Beach at 11 months, but I can't book at Disney World till 7 months before my vacation. I was actually very surprised at the lack of availability at the 7-month mark for when I was wanting to go and the type of accommodations I was wanting. I did not realize how much harder it is to get a studio than it is to get a 1 or a 2 bedroom. We had always booked 1 or 2 bedrooms. Honestly, I had never had a problem right at the 7-month mark. I might not always get the exact resort that I wanted, but even if I didn't get exactly what I wanted, I knew I could always be at Saratoga or Old Key West and then, do the wait list, and it just typically worked out. Let me tell you, booking studios at 7 months out for marathon weekend is not happening anymore. You're not only not getting into the resort you necessarily want, you're not getting into any resort. So after a couple of rounds of being pretty darn frustrated and paying cash for some of those race weekends and not even being able to use those points, I really started rethinking the whole thing. Around that same time, you know, the boys, as they're getting older, finding ourselves going just with maybe one kid or just my husband and I, and again, maybe only wanting to stay in a studio, just lots of complication. The one trip that we did combine both contracts was our big trip this last Thanksgiving, and we were not able to get in the same type of room for the entire week, and I had 2 different reservations and 2 different dates to book those trips, and it was complicated. And it wasn't like I could just book it and forget about it. I was checking it all the time. We waitlisted. We ended up at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and we were in a standard view for part of it and in a Savannah view for part of it. And we waitlisted to try to get the same thing, and it never did work out. And although I certainly don't mind a split stay when it's just like me and one kid, or just me and my husband, or certainly me by myself, with all 5 of us, it was just not, the split stay thing was not fun with all 5 of us. So I really started thinking more and more, okay, I'm not gonna use these points like I thought I was going to use these points. And the idea of selling started kind of bubbling up. Scott's whole thing was, you know, why not sell it and then purchase a larger contract on Walt Disney World property? We'll buy resale again. We love buying resale. We've had great experiences buying resale. Again, there's a video right here that will tell you what that process looks like. You know, why don't we consider doing that? And then we'll have the one contract that's for our family beach vacations to Vero, and then we'll have a designated contract that is for our Disney World trips. And if we want to use them together, we can, but we know that we can always book at the 11-month mark at Vero and the 11-month mark at whatever our home resort is at Walt Disney World. So after a lot of back and forth and thinking through a lot of things, I finally got on the phone and called my friend Chantel, kind of asked her, you know, what's the going rate? What could we potentially get for this contract? And it turned out that when we sold our contract, we sold it for almost exactly what we paid for it, which we paid a little bit more because we bought a contract that was preloaded with points, and the contract that we sold was stripped of points. So we were paid a little bit less than what we paid for it, but honestly, not by much. And when you add up the value of all the trips that we took in the almost 3 years that we owned it, if I had paid cash for those trips, I would have paid at least 50% more, you know, once you add in what we paid in dues for that 3-year period of time. So we actually still ended up ahead. We still spent less than we would have than if we had paid cash for those rooms. And we ended up recouping almost all of our initial buy-in, which I have to tell you guys kind of blew me away. So the other thing that really helped was we had all 3 kids going to college at the same time. So having that influx of cash during the time when we were doing that has been very helpful. Now we are already researching where we want to buy our next contract. It will be on Walt Disney World property. We have thought Bay Lake Tower is my first choice, but it's very expensive point-wise to stay at Bay Lake Tower. So our points go a lot further at Old Key West. We love Old Key West, especially if we can stay near the hospitality house. So that's kind of really where my brain is going. Yes, it does have an earlier expiration of 2042, but I was born in 1970, so I'll let you do the math. I will be very old in 2042. So I actually think that I'm okay with that. And actually the resale points there, I feel like are total bargain. So that's sort of the direction that I'm leaning. And I will be buying a larger contract that enables me to really, you know, do all the trips that I want. And again, now that I have an annual pass every year and I can so easily drive to Walt Disney World, that really does make a lot more sense. So I don't feel like we made a mistake when we bought that second contract. It just, our circumstances changed and it didn't fit us well. So I loved that I had a friend in the business, as they say, who could kind of talk me through what it would look like to sell the contract that just didn't fit us anymore. And what I'm gonna do now, in fact, it's 2 o'clock here, at 3 o'clock, I have an appointment with Chantel. We are gonna we are gonna talk over Skype about what it looks like to sell your Disney Vacation Club timeshare. I can tell you that the process from our end was quick, it was easy, it was simple. She held my hand the whole time, would not hesitate to do that again. I mean, my hope is I won't be doing it again, that I'll be buying a new contract, but I know now that, you know, if I buy a contract and I'm not happy with how it's working for our family, I'm not locked in for the rest of my life. And that's not true about a lot of other timeshares. A lot of other timeshares, if you buy and then you go to sell it, you're getting pennies on the dollar. That is not true with Disney Vacation Club. And of course, the market can always change, but what we experienced firsthand with what we just sold is we actually sold our contract for only slightly less than what we paid for it only 3 years ago. And I know some people are able to sell their contracts for far more than what they paid. So your experience may vary. Stick around, make sure you're subscribed if you're interested in that video with Chantel that gets more into the nitty-gritty details of selling your timeshare. But I'm glad that you were here today. I thank you for indulging me and kind of hearing the background and the story for why we decided to sell that contract. It was a little sad, but then you know what? As I was signing the paperwork and I was looking at the names of the people that we were selling to, I thought, you know what? That is another family that is gonna have so many great memories at Disney, at Vero Beach, and it's just nice to know that, that you can do that sort of thing and that we can all continue to go to Disney and to be part of the magic. I hope this was helpful. If you have any comments, please put them below. Look for that video that I'll do as part 2 with Chantel, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Oh, and please subscribe if you're not already. And don't forget to turn on that little bell notification so that you don't miss a thing. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.